Have you ever just looked at your dog or maybe a bird outside your window and wondered what is actually going on in their head? What are they really trying to say? Well, we're going to get into that. And trust me, the reality is way more incredible than you can even imagine.
I mean, it's the ultimate fantasy, isn't it? The question that's launched 1,000 kids' movies and storybooks. But here's a thought. What if that whole fantasy is actually blinding us to a reality that's even more fascinating?
So yeah, let's peel back the curtain on this big what if. We're going to move away from the cartoons and into a reality that is so much deeper, and honestly, a lot more complex.
Okay, just look at the difference here. On one side, you have our cute little fantasies, right? Dogs asking for a treat, cats gossiping about the neighbors. But the reality? It's so much more intense. Out in the wild, communication isn't just a nice thing to have, it's everything. It's a warning about a wolf in the woods. It's a whale calling to its pod across 1,000 miles of ocean. It's a whole flock of birds coordinating an attack. This is serious stuff.
And that is the absolute key here. This isn't just idle chatter. This is a high-stakes, life-or-death information system that's been sharpened and perfected over millions and millions of years of evolution.
So how in the world do we even begin to crack the code on this incredible system? Well, it turns out there's a whole field of science dedicated to exactly that.
It's got a big name, zoosemiotics, but it's a really cool idea. It's the official science of studying how animals use all kinds of signs and signals, from smells to sounds to dances, to get vital information to each other. This is really where we stop guessing and start knowing.
And what scientists have figured out is that most of this communication happens through three main channels. You've got chemical, visual, and auditory. Let's break those down.
So first up is chemical. You can think of this as a totally invisible language. We're talking about pheromones. A moth can follow the scent of a mate from miles away. Ants leave these little chemical breadcrumb trails to lead their entire colony to a food source. It's super subtle to us, but for a lot of these creatures, it's basically like shouting in a crowded room.
Next, let's look at visual. And honestly, the honeybee's waggle dance is one of the most stunning examples you'll ever see. This is not just a cute little wiggle. No way. It is a super precise GPS navigation system. So get this, the angle of her dance tells her sisters the exact direction to fly, using the sun as a guide. The length of the dance tells them how far to go, and the intensity, how excited she is, that's basically a 5-star Yelp review for the food. It's a map, directions, and a review all in one little dance. Just wow.
And then you have the auditory channel, sound. And this is where my mind just gets blown. We're now learning that humpback whale songs aren't just random sounds, they are complex musical pieces that have regional dialects, kind of like how a pop song might sound different on the East Coast versus the West Coast. Even crazier, vervet monkeys have what are essentially different words for different predators. There's a specific call for leopard, another for eagle, and a third for snake, and each one causes a totally different, life-saving reaction.
Okay, this stuff is incredible, right? But how are we figuring all this out? Well, our methods for cracking these codes have become seriously sophisticated.
I mean, just look at this progression. It all started with really patient observation, like Carl von Frisch spending years to decode that bee dance back in the 40s. Then you get to the 70s and 80s, and we have these huge breakthroughs with whale songs and monkey calls. But now, in the 2020s, we're using artificial intelligence. We're feeding computers massive libraries of animal sounds, and the AI is finding patterns that were completely invisible to us before.
And this new tech is showing us a level of complexity that is just staggering. For example, researchers now know that prairie dogs have over 20 distinct calls just for predators. They don't just yell danger, they communicate the type of predator, its size, its color, and even how fast it's coming. They're literally painting a detailed picture with sound, which kind of makes you think that maybe the basic building blocks of grammar aren't so uniquely human after all.
It's like one bioacoustics researcher said, we really are on the verge of a revolution. And the big challenge isn't about teaching animals our language anymore, it's about us finally having the right tools to learn theirs.
And this, of course, brings us to the biggest questions of all. As we're starting to actually understand what's being said, we have to ask ourselves, so what? What does it all mean?
You know, we're really past the point of debating if animals are talking to each other in complex ways. The evidence is just overwhelming. So the real game-changing question now is, what are they saying about their world, about their lives, and what might they be saying about us?
Because if we can truly start to listen,
That comes with a pretty profound responsibility, doesn't it? This research forces us to completely rethink our ideas about animal intelligence, about consciousness itself. It demands that we improve animal welfare, thinking about their complex needs. It could help us build conservation plans that actually work because we're finally getting their perspective. And ultimately, it really challenges us to stop seeing ourselves as the owners of this planet and more as just one member of a huge, talkative community.
I think the writer Thomas Berry just nailed it with this. He said, "The world is not a collection of objects for our use. It is a communion of subjects, and we are but one member." It kind of feels like for the longest time, we've been the ones shouting so loudly that we completely forgot how to listen.
So I'll leave you with this question. Forget for a second about talking to the animals. If we could finally, truly learn to listen to them, what parts of our world, and what parts of ourselves, would we be forced to change?